18th year head coach on the Hilltop, West Liberty head coach Roger Waialae. Roger, just give us an opening statement on West Liberty's 2022 season.
Well, we have a lot of kids returning. Most importantly, the offensive line returns intact, except for the center. And we have a kid that is looking like he's going to start at center that started probably 5 or 6 games over the last couple of years. And that's probably one of the most important key factors in this conference since I've been in it. If you don't have an offensive line that can compete, there's not much you can do. And if you look at it throughout the years, the team with the best offensive line has won this conference. So that's one thing that we're counting on, because we did have heavy graduation rate on the flip side of the ball, which is a defensive line. And so it's quite a contrast, but we have 4 seniors that have started, I think, probably 90% of the last games over the last 3 years on the offensive line. And so contrast to that, defensively, we have 1 returner, which is an all-conference kid, David Gilchrist, on the defensive side of the ball. But we have Jamie Diven at quarterback that has experience. We have other kids like Parker Sherry, transfer from Bowling Green, and Rudy Garcia and Alex Dunleavy competing on that spot. But probably the most important thing on the offensive side, we get Quincy Wimbish back that tore his Achilles 2 days before the first game last year. And so, we like the way things are filling out. We have a lot of competition at wide receiver and tight end. And defensive side of the ball, we have a lot of experience coming back in the back half. One of my major concerns over last year was the kicking game, because we did graduate our specialty people, but we're able to bring in, this is my first time in my career, I have 2 guys that strictly just long snap. We have a transfer kicker, Justin Kaplan, and then Tyler Raudell battling for the kicking duties, and then Curry will battle for the punting duty. So, we're excited, and I think if you do this as long as I do, you have to be excited this time of the year. If I'm not excited about what we have here on the Hilltop, then I need to retire and go play golf for the rest of my life.
All right. If you have any questions for Coach, use the raise hand function. Go ahead, Cody.
Hey, Roger. Just wondering, through the first week and a half or so of camp, just what you've liked and if there's been any surprises.
Well, the biggest surprise to me is so far has been how well Quincy Wimbish has healed over his Achilles. I mean, he's actually faster and moving better than he did prior to the injury, and that kind of took me a little off guard. I thought it would take some time to get back into it, and I think he's fit in nicely and done a lot of nice things. Surprises are a couple of the freshman defensive linemen are ready to play. And then, we had a couple kids that came back that have added some weight, and meaning Trent Crawford has started at nickel for us, and he normally played at about 190. He came back at 215. Linebacker, we redshirted from Hawaii, Tyson Fosu-Amanu, that was probably 205 pounds, is now 230 pounds, and it's making a big difference out on the field. The transition for Zach Dixon going from safety down to inside backer is going to make our defense that much better. So, the surprises have been pleasant ones. Right now, after a week and a half, there's really no negatives as I've seen so far. Obviously, a couple positions concern me depth-wise, whether we can get some freshmen and newcomers ready to go in the next 2 weeks in the first game. Obviously, I think over a period of time they will be ready, but one of the standouts for me is probably Luis Martinez. That's a true freshman on the offensive line. He's competing right now and probably competing for a starting job over, we got 4 seniors that have started over 90% of the games, and he's right in there with them competing, and you don't notice a difference when he's in there.
Jonathan.
Yeah, Coach, talking a little bit more about the running game, with Wimbish coming back and then also Tyler Moeller, you have a pretty good set of dual backs there. Can you talk a little bit more about that for this upcoming season?
Yeah, I mean, Tyler Moeller had a great season for us, coming in and coming out of spring. I think he was number 3 or number 4, and We had a couple guys that got hurt over the summer. Then Quincy goes down, and first game we had running back by committee, and then he won the job. And I thought he played extremely well, and he still is playing extremely well. He's gotten better also. So it gives, like I said, there's places where you got depth. We got great quality depth at running back, because even the other kids that are healthy again now, Dylan Asbury, and AJ Barmer, they give us added depth there. And then we got 2-3 newcomers there. So, the running game is important. You can't be one dimensional in this conference, meaning you have to be able to run the ball as effectively as you throw it. We think, and what Quincy brings to the game for us is he can go at any time. And Tyler is a more methodical and will pound it out, beat you up type of running back. So we got a real good contrast there.
Coach, you have to replace 6 starters on defense. You mentioned earlier about the defensive line graduating. What is the bright spot on that defense, and are there any newcomers that have impressed you early in camp?
Well, not so much newcomers. We had John Brown that was our starting. I think the first game he played against Walsh, and he tore up his knee in the first game, but he's 100%. He's back. We redshirted a really good freshman last year that we thought that would have played for us after the second or third game, but we decided to redshirt him, and Delano Marcellus. And so those 2 guys stepping up, you don't realize how much you miss. You're going to miss the leadership, but we'll be able to replace their production, so to say. And then newcomers, Cameron Rice, that transferred from WVU. Is playing well in there between the 3 and the 5, and to say he can play any one of the 4 positions. And then the 2 true freshmen is Jason Gibson out of Texas, and Alapate Tuatavuki out of Gahanna Lincoln. So they've been able to impress us, and we have some options where I can move a couple of linebackers that had experience in pass rush situations of playing the end. So really, it's going to be more by committee, where last year we probably only played 8 kids. We'll probably play 10 to 12, and we're hoping to get Trevor Hoosier back. Trevor Hoosier went down in the 6th game with a knee injury. He won't be cleared because of the surgeries he had, and probably until the middle of September. But if he's able to play, there's an all-conference caliber kid that when he went out, he was leading the country, or in the top 3 in the country for tackles for losses. And so, it kind of just depends. That's going to take probably a little bit of luck if we're able to get him back and healthy and ready to go. So that's one of the major keys, is just up front, is those guys are stepping up and they're getting the opportunity and they're playing well. I mean, it's fun watching practice, when they go, because we do a lot of good on good, and they're competing on both sides of the ball.
Cody, go ahead.
Roger, you mentioned a lot of competition at wide receiver. Just especially at this time of the year, what do you like to look at, just in terms of how those guys might separate from each other?
Well, number one and foremost for us is understanding the system and running the right routes and running the right concepts, and knowing when to convert routes, adjust routes, and those types of things. The kids that struggle to play for us are the ones that don't play well within the system. So, that's what a lot of the younger or newcomers to the team are learning. Obviously, the guys that have been here have an advantage in that situation. But, we brought in 20 receivers this year, or 20, not 20 new ones, but 20 total. And just because of injuries, and, we got pretty depleted by injury last year. We graduated 2 players that took primarily all of the snaps until they got injured last year. So we got a combination of freshmen transfers, junior college transfers. And, again, I can tell you Wisdom Jenkins is probably going to play. Wisdom knows the offense probably as well as any of the quarterbacks. Of course, he's been with me for 5 years, 6 years with the COVID year. And so he understands very rarely does he run a wrong route. So, we have some players like that, but then we got some newcomers that are making big plays for us during practice. And like I said, it's nothing, last year I thought defensively we gave up too many easy touchdowns. We called them the 6-second touchdowns of, longer passes and so to say. And I thought our defense has improved on that about not giving up the bigger plays. And we're a little bit faster than we were at wide receiver this year than we were last year. So for me to get in, I really don't know. I know there's a lot of guys in the mix. It's hard to, if we had to separate and decide who's on the travel squad for the first game, I couldn't tell you at wide receiver right now. There's some positions that have separated themselves a lot faster. That position hasn't.
Any other questions? All right, Coach, we appreciate you joining us today, and good luck this season.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.